Do you want to impress everyone you know with your non-existent card cheating abilities? Well, do I have the card trick for you. Throughout this trick, you'll be shuffling up the deck, dealing out the cards, and demonstrating how to get a killer hand. And not only do you do it again, but this time you make it imperceptible. You are in for a real treat. You know, people ask me all the time, can you cheat at cards? And my answer to that is a resounding no, because the second they know I can cheat at cards, they stop playing with me. Let me demonstrate this for you, how a card mechanic or how a card cheat would do this. I'm sure you've heard of like the second deal, center deal, bottom deal. I'm going to demonstrate the bottom deal for you. So I'm going to take the 4 kings and I'm going to put them on the bottom of the deck. That's what a card cheat or a card mechanic would do at first. And then give the deck a false shuffle. So you can see here I have the kings. I'm going to start shuffling first. At least 4 cards go through before I start shuffling the other half. And then I square them all up. Maybe if I want to give the deck a couple of false cuts, I can do that as well, and you'll see the 4 kings are maintained on the bottom. Now, when I'm doing the dealing, let's just say we're playing a 5-card, 5-hand game of poker. So I'm dealing out the cards, 1, 2, 3, 4. When it comes to dealing to myself, I take the bottom card here, we have the king, and I bottom deal it to myself. Again, going around, I want to make sure that I can bottom deal the 4 kings to myself before I deal the random card. And that's the 4 kings, all bottom dealt, and the last go around, I just deal myself a normal card because it doesn't really matter. And if we take a look, of course, we have the 4 kings that were originally on the bottom of the deck. Now watch it happen one more time, except this time you know it's coming, so I'm going to make it a bit more difficult for you to pick up. There's another method in card magic called stacking, where the deck is stacked exactly how the card mechanic or card cheat wants it to be stacked. So they can stack it up and everything pretty much goes how they want. So check this out. I've just stacked up the deck so I can deal myself the kings one more time. Watch carefully as I'm doing these deals, and then I'm going to reveal the card to you. Did you catch it? Do you see it happen? Because check it out. The 5 cards we have. Once again, I've dealt myself the 4 of a kind, but it's not the kings. You may be thinking it's 4 of a kind kings, but I'm like, what's better than kings? That's right. It's the 4 of a kind aces. Now that is wild. What up, crew? It is Magic Monday, and this is your place to learn magic, master your performance, and captivate audiences. To give you the deets on this trick, it is known as the poker puzzle, and it's from the Royal Road to Card Magic. It's a pure gem. If you can't impress your friends and family with this, I will personally apologize. Now, before we dive right into the tutorial, make sure you smash that like button, hit subscribe, and get ready to share this trick with your friends. So now, let's do it. Alright, yo, here we are, my second favorite part of the video, which is the tutorial. Now, I cannot emphasize enough how much I love this trick, because not only is it extremely powerful, but you're bringing the spectator into behind the scenes of how a card cheat would, set everything up and how they would deal. And yet you still end up fooling them at the end, which is, it's insane. So for this trick, you can probably tell, it does require a bit of a setup. Now, of course, this doesn't have to be a setup type card trick. If you're a bit more advanced, maybe later on in the video, I'll go into how you can go into the setup without actually, setting it up beforehand. So maybe I'll leave the advanced part to later on in the video, but let me just cover the trick basics. The next part of the video, I'm going to cover the advanced tactics. So we're going to pull out the 4 aces first. That's 1, 2, 3, and ace number 4. We'll take these aces, and the setup, all that's required is taking these aces and putting them right on top of the deck, and that's about it. When you start the trick, I like to take the cards out of the tuck case, and this, of course, is not mandatory to do it this way, but I just like to do it because it sells the effect a lot more. I go into the deck, and I look for the 4 kings. And as I'm looking for the 4 kings, I go about telling the story the exact same way that I did in the performance of people ask me all the time, do you know how to cheat at cards? Can you deal yourself the best hand? Whatever story you want to make up, you can kind of use mine as a kind of a template or a guideline and really craft your own story with it, because the story is really the selling point of this trick along with the reveal at the end. So you say, I'm sure you heard the second deal, you heard the center deal, bottom deal, but not many people have actually seen it live. And I'm going to show you how it would work. I'm going to demonstrate to you how it's going to work. You take the 4 kings, put them on the bottom of the deck, and of course you're doing this in front of the spectator to show them how a card mechanic would cheat. Now, the next thing I like to do, and I would highly recommend for you to do these parts, again, not a requirement because this is practically self-working, but this is something that would really sell the effect even more. You're going to give the deck a cut, right? So I just like to do a table riffle shuffle, give the deck a cut, and when you start riffling, you tell the spectator, you start riffling the bottom half first. You make sure you riffle off at least 4 cards, so the kings remain, and then you riffle the rest. The one thing you want to make sure of, the top packet that has at least 4 cards on top, but that's not the attention you draw towards the spectator. You just talk about the bottom 4 kings, right? So you square that up. And then you can give the deck a false cut if you want. I have many videos on false cuts. I'll put the link on the screen, you can check it out. If you don't want to do that, that's completely fine too. Then you can show the spectator again, the 4 kings have remained on the bottom. At this point, they're learning a lot, they're very interested in what's going on. And now you tell them you're playing a 5-card, 5-hand game of poker with 5 people. So you start dealing out the cards, and you're gonna deal out 1, 2, 3, 4. That's dealing out to everyone else. And you show the spectator, so this is why you don't really need to know how to do the bottom deal. It's helpful if you do know how. I have a video on that as well. It's helpful if you do know how, but again, not a requirement. You take the king, you do a very blatant bottom deal. You pull out the bottom card, you can tell the spectator, I take one of the kings. Go around again, second time, take the king, third time, take the king, fourth time, take the king. And again, this is all very blatant, and I'm doing it right in front of the spectator. And you say the 4th time around, it doesn't really matter, so I just take the top card and give that to myself. Then you're gonna square everything up. What you've pretty much done now is set up the aces in these 4 hands. So if you take a look at the bottom of each of these piles, they actually have an ace. So when you put the deck back together later, it's gonna be setting it up to do the whole thing again. But so you're not showing the spectator any of these piles, that's very important. You flip this over and you show them you have the 1, 2, 3, 4 kings with a random card. You actually want to make sure that you don't reverse the card order, but you show the spectator you have the 4 kings with a random card. You square this up, put this face down, and you're going to grab the deck back. And now you're going to pick up these piles in any order that you want, these 4 piles here, but you want to ensure that these cards do not get like mixed into each other, or that's going to ruin the whole setup, because the aces are now set to every 5th card. So you pick all these up, put them right on top of the deck, pick up these 4 kings in the random card, put that on top of the deck as well. So now the way that this is set up, you're gonna end up getting the king and the 4 aces, which is, you know, it's really cool. It's really cool how all this works. So now, again, as a selling effect, you wanna do a false cut. You wanna do a false shuffle. I guess during the more advanced part of this video, I'll talk about the shuffles that I'm doing. But just for easiness sake, if you wanna give the deck a couple of false cuts, maybe something like this. This is a very nice, simple one. You're going to swing cut over a pack of cards into your non-dominant hand. Swing cut over about another third. Hold a pinky break between these 2 packets. You're going to take this last packet and put it down like this. So up to speed, it's going to look very believable, but your setup is still there right on top of the deck. If you want to practice some false shuffles, you can do that as well, but if you're using this mainly as a self-worker, just doing false cuts is going to be a huge selling point. All right, now that you've done all that, all you got to do is deal. That's it. You deal off those cards. Let's quickly do that. All right, we've dealt those 5 cards to ourselves. And again, while I'm dealing out the cards, my whole selling point or my whole storyline is, now that I've demonstrated for you how this works, I want you to try to catch me in doing it. And there's no way they're going to catch you doing a bottom deal, because it didn't happen. And I have no words. It's so good. Now you'll reveal that you have the 4 of a kind, and when you turn it over, it's going to be a king. So they're thinking, all right, you've dealt the 4 kings again, that's pretty impressive, but you say there's actually something better than the 4 kings. It's the 4 aces, and that's when their mind is actually blown. Let's get into some of the more advanced stuff now. So beginners, this is not for you, but feel free to watch. When you're starting off the trick now, you can take out the cards and literally give the deck a shuffle, like a real shuffle, or you can have the spectator shuffle up the deck as you're talking to them, again, giving the same story about how you're demonstrating how a card cheat would cheat. And now when you're going for your setup, you're going to be looking for the 4 kings. And as you're looking for the 4 kings, I like to shift them up like this. And I'm also going to be doing the Roadrunner cull. So I'm going to cull this card right here to the back like this. And I'm practically going to be shifting it up to the top of the deck. So I have those 2 aces that I found. I'm going to keep going. And of course, this is in the cover of finding the 4 kings. So I found the 3 aces. Where are the other kings? Okay, I found the 4 aces. And the other kings are here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So at this point, I'm holding the 4 aces right back in my hand so I can load them up on top of the deck, and I can swivel out these kings. Sorry about that. I can swivel out the 4 kings and continue the card trick in the exact same way that I was doing it. Now, I got very lucky that the 4 aces appeared before the 4 kings did, but there are cases in which the aces are further back in the deck. And let me just give you a quick example. For example, the 4 kings are, I don't know, here. And you're going through, you've taken out the 4 kings. So if I don't see the ace, right? So if I don't find the ace and I found the king, I keep going until I see the ace and I call that immediately to the back. And then I'm like, where's the fourth king? So I go through a second time and then I find the fourth king to swivel all those out and put them on the top. So there's, you know, ample time for you to set up the 4 aces on the back. It doesn't have to be perfect the first time around because, again, you're showing this as you're doing a demonstration. So it's not as important. It doesn't have to be as clean. And you don't have to tell folks exactly what you're doing. Just knowing the 4 kings are moved to the bottom. Now that we've gone through the impromptu setup aspect, I want to go through the false shuffles that I used as part of my performance. So a couple things that I used, again, all these things I've literally learned from observing Richard Turner, just to give you some more background on that. I start off by taking off the top half, moving it to the right hand side. And when I'm doing the shuffle, it's going to be a push through false riffle shuffle. So I'm doing the shuffle, I'm pushing the cards through each other, right? And as I push through, I can pull them out on the other side. I move this to the top, maintaining a thumb break back here. And then I cut, you can do it either way. I can cut this to the top and cut the remaining packet under my thumb to the top, and that's going to maintain the order. I just repeat that 2 times with different methods of doing it. So for example, one of the methods that I used was, I did the push through false shuffle. And again, you can take your time with this, doesn't have to be super duper clean. I did that. And then what's a cut that I actually learned fairly recently, this is actually pretty cool, I love using this. You split this bottom packet in half, like this. You toss this top packet over, above the thumb, you toss this top packet over onto the table. If it does, okay, well, you toss this top packet onto the table, you put out this packet, and then you put down the right hand packet. And you'll see the cards will remain in their order, and once you deal all the cards out, you're gonna end up with the king and the 4 aces. And I'm gonna tell you, 100%, 100,000% worth learning false shuffles just so you can do this. It's wild. If you want to check out another poker type card trick, click this video right over here because it's always great to know another way to cheat. I mean, cheating is bad. Thanks so much for spending your time with me. I truly hope you enjoyed this card trick. Love you guys, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Deck drop.